today. I would like to, first of all, recognize our board members who are on stage with me. We have President Honeychurch, Vice President Young, Trustee Thurston, Trustee Chapman, and a very special Trustee Head. And we have Mr. Reyes, Professor White, Ms. President of CSEA Lutrell Williams, Mr. Rich Augustus, Professor Watkins, Dr. Lamb, and Ms. Schneider, as well as our Vice President, Mr. Ligioso. He was ill yesterday. I'm so glad to see him here today. I want to talk briefly about the road that we have been on. In 2005, we had an accreditation report, and according to Dr. Lamb, who's our historian in accreditation, we have had a report since 2005, every year thereafter. And at some point, I believe 2008 or 2009, we got on show cause, and in 2010, we got on probation, and then 2011 is what I want to address with you today. So again, I thank you for coming and for your support. And believe me, when I say we need your support now more than ever, I really mean it. So I will go through some slides quickly. Our board president will share a few thoughts with you. Then we will go welcome two of our newest employees, Ms. Foft and Mr. Ligioso, in the back half of the cafeteria. So we'll go and get going. This slide reminded me, that was what came out in the back of the Reporter after I greeted you on August 19th, 2009. And that has remained in my head a big reminder of what we need to do at the college. So we had a visit, and we're going to go through the recommendations that we have to deal with, and then after each recommendation, we're going to share with you what the team said. So the first one had to do with the fact that we need to talk to one another. We need to be focused on our outcomes and on student success. So that was the first one, and the conclusion that the team shared with us is that the college demonstrates resolution of the deficiencies cited in the recommendation, and says Solano Community College has a president who's leading the college to sustain commitment to dialogue and to student success. Now, so this particular recommendation, we don't need to worry about it anymore, but that does not mean that we should stop the conversations that we need to have at the college. I think if anything, what we have learned from ACCJC is that for each of those recommendations, they should really become a good part of what we do at the college on a regular basis. So I'm asking everybody who's on stage with me today to please continue to provide leadership so that productive dialogue is something that we have as a mantra at the college. I know that in these difficult budget times, conversations can really be rough, and we all are stressed, but it does not mean that we should not continue to have productive dialogue. And that's what I'm inviting all of you to continue to do. And we go to recommendation 2, is improving institutional planning. In order to improve institutional planning, the college should clarify and simplify its terminology and process using planning so that the vocabulary can be understood by everybody. And we go to the conclusion. The team concluded that the evaluation team concludes that the college is now proficient in institutional planning and has entered into sustainable continuous quality improvement, and thus has resolved the deficiency cited in this recommendation. Now, this does not mean that we should stop planning. If anything, this is a time for us to really get in higher gear and plan even more. Because if we don't, we can go back to where we were. So, but this is one of the recommendations we no longer need to worry about. Recommendation 3, improving institutional effectiveness. In order to improve institutional effectiveness, the college should establish and implement a clear, systematic, consistent, and ongoing method of measuring and evaluating its effectiveness in achieving stated strategic planning goals and student learning outcomes. This is one that's extremely important to us, and let's see what they said. The conclusion is that the evaluation team concludes that the college has fully resolved the deficiencies cited in this recommendation. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't need to do student learning outcomes anymore. We don't need to worry about our strategic planning, and that when we have the goals, we don't need to respond to them and do what we should do. That's not at all what that means. It means that they recognize that we can do it, and they expect us to continue to do it. And student learning outcomes and service area outcomes have become even more important for us to do. And those goals, when we set the goals, we shouldn't forget that they exist. We need to provide the results of what we've done with them. Recommendation 6, staffing and organizational stability. They said we need to maintain our personnel for consistency, because if we don't do that, our college will be in trouble. Recommendation 6 said, the evaluation team concludes that the college president is building a solid team of administrators and that the college has resolved the deficiencies cited in the recommendation. And I want to specifically say to the 2 vice presidents who are on stage with me, you ain't going nowhere, because we need you to be here. We need to be, and I promise I'm not going anywhere either. So we'll be here together. So we need to. It's not that again. We're off the hook forever, but we need to continue to maintain our stability. And recommendation 8 is the last one. In order for the governing board to focus on institutions' major issues and questions of policy, the Board of Trustees is encouraged to delegate full responsibility and authority to the President to implement and administer board policies and the operation of the college. Okay, let's see what they said. The survey said, the evaluation team also concludes that the deficiencies cited through this recommendation have been resolved and that current policy and practice which follow Commission standards will be sustained. So that's the last one. Commission's decisions is our next slide. When we visited the Commission, we waited for 3.5 hours before they called us to come and testify. And then it took us 2 minutes. They said they didn't want to hear from us anymore. I guess by then they had heard enough from us all those years. Based on the conclusions you saw above, the Commission could do the following. Keep us on probation, move us somehow to warning. We could not guess what the Commission would do, so we had to wait for the Commission to see what they said. Vote of the Commission. Dr. Bino's letter said the Commission is pleased to note that the college has now resolved recommendations 1, 2, 3, 6, and 8, as well as all other recommendations identified in the Commission's action letters since 2005. We've been at this for 6 years. The Commission also took action 2, the last slide, to remove probation. Well, our duty. We have a choice. Now, the challenge was for us to put the soul back in Solano Community College. And believe me, with a lot of work that we have done, we have gone really far to put the soul back in Solano Community College. So our duty, we have a choice. As the grandfather said to his grandson. The grandfather said to the grandson that I have two wolves inside of me. One that is pretty mean. It fights with accreditation. It says student learning outcomes are no good. We shouldn't do planning. We shouldn't be talking to each other. We shouldn't be disrespectful to each other. We shouldn't be changing administrators all the time. That's one wolf. And he said there's another one that says, well, we're going to adhere to our planning. We're going to be civil with one another. We're going to be great college. And the grandson said, well, the two are fighting. Which one is going to win? And the grandfather said, it depends on which one we feed. So for us, we have a choice. We have the choice of continuing to do things that we're not supposed to do and continue to have problems with accreditation, or we can make the choice, as we made since 2009, to really have a college that is one of the best in the state and in the nation. We can say free at last and go back. Our unions, our faculty, our staff, our senate, our president, and our board, we have the decision to make, whether we're going to go back or whether we're going to move forward. We can say never again should we be on show cause, and that is really our choice. Our promise and our pledge to each other is to say never again. I want to express our gratitude to our CSCA. All members of CSCA have been supportive, but Cynthia Simon and Zafir Son were especially helpful to us as we went through this process the last few months. I want to thank everybody from Local 39, especially Ralph Myers, who was really very helpful to us in the process. And I want to thank SCFA, everybody, as well as the President Tom Ruby and Miss Diane White. Without the great support of the faculty, we would continue to have great problems with accreditation. And I want to say thank you. Thank you to them, because a lot of times, as I have been working with you all for 19 months and 3 days, I have to tell you, a lot of times we had to get together, get our minds together so we could move the college in the right direction. And I'm very, very grateful for all of our faculty for putting aside your personal interest and for looking at the interest of the college. I also want to thank our student association, especially Lillian Nelson and Tara Norman, who were with us as we went through this process. I want to thank our report writer, Tracy Schneider, our researcher, Simas and Myers. I want to thank our deans, and especially Dr. Lamb. And Dr. Lamb, who is our accreditation liaison to the commission, has really been a trooper. He's been at this for a long time, and I think that he's one who's ready to say free at last, free at last. So thank you. Academic Senate. We miss Academic Senate. We want to thank it's here. The Academic Senate and President Watkins, who also have been great with, when I was talking about the faculty, that's, and all of his colleagues who've been really very supportive, and shared governance members and all of that. Our Vice Presidents, Reyes, Steinbach, Waitsfield, have all played an important role in getting us to where we are. Before she left us, our Finance Director, Fiscal Services, Susan Rainey, was really helpful in making things happen. I want to thank Marge and the graphics folks for getting the binding and things done for us. Our public information, Beck and Bostic. And thank you to all staff and faculty. Without you, this could not have been done. You did it. You did it. You did it. As I stood in front of you on August 19th, 2009, one of the things that I said to you is that let it be that it is really our generation this faculty and this staff that have really turned Solano Community College around. And you have done that, and I thank you very much. I also want to thank our trustees. Thank you, trustees. Thank you, Trustee Honeychurch, for the leadership that you've provided. Thank you, Trustee Young, Trustee Keith, Trustee Claffey, Trustee McCaffrey, Trustee Thurston, Trustee Chapman, and Student Trustee Glidden. I want to express special thanks to Mr. Henry. Mr. Henry, your call to me to say that I had this job was the best call that I think I had ever received in my life. Except for when my wife found me again and called me. You guided us through this process. Our people responded really well, and it worked well for us, and we really thank you very much for your support. I thought she was going to be here, so I was going to say a lot of good things about my real boss, my wife, but she couldn't make it. But honey, I thank you so much for all you've done. Actually, she's the one who said to me, before I even applied for the job, I was screaming in my sleep that we can do it, we can do it. When she said, what can we do? I said, the accreditation. So here's the day for us for that. Now what? We cannot regress. We have even more work to do. We still have a self-study to work on, and we should come out smelling pretty good out of the self-study. We show that from death row that we were, which is show cause, we can become legitimate. Our honor is restored. No longer will we be considered among those institutions that do not attend to what they need to attend to. We need to continue with honor and continue to move the college forward. Your institution is no longer in trouble, and that is really great. I would like, thank you. I'd like to ask President Honeychurch to say a few words.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Well, thank you, Dr. Laguerre, for your comments this morning. Well, my message this morning is this. About 3 years ago, the college, at least the leadership component, appeared to be in disarray, both the board and the administrative structure. But you should know this, and that is that the educational component of the college was never in doubt. We had good instruction. We had good students. What we didn't have is leadership where we should have, and the problem was us, frankly. But we have corrected that. Our board is reconstituted to some extent, and our board has worked very hard over the course of the last 2 years to go to training, meetings. There have never been more meetings in the last 2 years than I've had in the last 20 years to correct this from the board's perspective. And I think now we have a good board, we're working well together. And also I want to thank Dr. Laguerre. When we started this, we had Robert Jensen as an interim, who was terrific. And then since the last 19 months, we've had this inspirational leadership from Dr. Laguerre. So I want to thank him personally for his work in bringing us back. And I also thank A. Marie Young, who's the taskmaster on our board, as well as the other trustees, Thurston, and others that have been here. Sarah Chapman, who's here this morning. Also, I want to thank Dr. Jeff Lamb, who was the liaison with the Accreditation Commission. He's done a lot of work, as have So we're now off probation. We're going to go forward, and we're going to continue the progress we've made. So join me in this effort. Again, thank you to all the college constituencies that have pulled together to pull this off. All right, thank you.
Double tasking. And now we invite you to go to the back half of the cafeteria to celebrate your success and also to welcome Julian Ligioso and Susan Forth among us.